Hey guys! Today I'm going to be talking about the Lucifer Box novels. This series of books consists of the Vesuvius Club, The Devil in Amber, and Black Butterfly. All three of these are by Gatiss, and that is the reason why I found them in the first place. The Vesuvius Club was in my February wrap-up, The Devil in Amber was in my March wrap-up, and Black Butterfly will be in my April wrap-up. I just finished rereading all of these, and I felt that I love Gatiss, I love books. Why not tell everyone about the books Gatiss has written? Now, let's discuss the books. I'm probably going to discuss them as a whole, overall, not individually, because they are all going to get their little spot in my wrap-ups. Let's talk about the main thing that we want in a book, which is the story. All of these are very filled. There is a lot going on in these, I guess, and they're very action-packed. Because this spy novels, that's kind of what you want and what you expect. There are quite a few chase sequences and quite a few fights, things like that, which are typical in a spy novel. One thing about them is that the descriptions of fights are often quite vivid, which makes it a bit to read. I seem to recall this one started with, there was a very gory description of his hand being cut with a wire. It kind of just goes through you a bit, but that's to be expected with Lucifer Box's line of work. Another thing I love about these is that they're full of plot twists and stuff. Essentially what you get is little blobs of information all the way through, and then right at the end it all kind of comes together, and I feel like the ends, it speeds up super fast and everything's happening. I don't know, maybe some people wouldn't like that, but I really enjoy that in a book. Another interesting thing about these books is that they take place in a variety of locations. This one is mainly Italy, this one is America and also Britain, and this one is Jamaica, which it gives the whole series as a whole of a good variety, but also it leads itself to having lots of description, and it really does. You can picture the places that they're set really well. However, one flaw with these is that sometimes the things that are happening in them is maybe a little bit hard to believe. So in this one, there's these people who are being controlled with helmets and this drug gas in their brains, and I don't know, for the Edwardian period, it's almost a little bit hard to put it into that time period, and even if that would happen in real life, I don't know. And this one, they bring back a devil creature thing, which again kind of leads towards fantasy. I don't know, it just throws it a little bit. It's still enjoyable, if you accept it as this is happening, then yes. Let's discuss the characters. Characters are something I love in books. If a character is really well developed and you can just picture them entirely, I love that. And I also love dialogues with characters, because I feel that really adds to a person as a whole. Let's begin with the main man himself, Lucifer Box. He is the main character of these books, and it's written in first person. So Lucifer Box is a portraitist and spy for His Majesty's Secret Service. I guess the way you would describe him is an English gentleman kind of person, but he's also a little bit not as prim and proper as that, which I think is really enjoyable. It kind of defines him as a character, because he's quite obsessed with himself. In this one, I seem to have a vivid memory of him just going on about how lovely his hands are. Another thing about him I really enjoy is that he is a bisexual male, and I've watched quite a few LGBT books on YouTube, and something that people always seem to want is a bisexual protagonist, and these have that. But that's another thing about him that kind of makes him a bit rougher than a proper prim English gentleman, is that he is very sexual. He literally has sex with so many people in these books. Another interesting thing about Lucifer Box and the books as a whole is that we get to experience him aging throughout all of the books, and I think that's really interesting with Lucifer Box's character, because he's such a person who loves himself so much and his looks so much. When he gets to be an old man, it changes from, in this one he's loving the way he looks, but then by the time we get to this one and he's an old man, he kind of mourns his looks, which I find really interesting because it's keeping with that character. There are a variety of characters in these books, and I love that. When a book has characters that aren't just people and they are actually characters, so they've got something to them that makes them interesting, I love that. One particular character I really like is Mrs. Croup, who is a really old woman who really just wants Lucifer Box so much. But something I absolutely love about her is she has these little sayings. So you know when you say like, strike me down if it's not true, something like that. She says those a lot, but very extreme and detailed. For example, you drift off now, old mother here will look after you. Slice out my guts, throw them over my shoulder and leave me in Whitechapel slum if I don't. Like, what? Why on earth is that coming out of an old lady's mouth? There's also another character who's got like little sayings / the way they speak really makes it much easier for you to like picture and hear the person speaking. So Delilah is Lucifer's handy domestic, which is a person who like clears up the mess that the spies make. The way her dialogue is written, she says a lot of her I's as H's, and that really like cements an accent for you in your head. Another character who's got a really obvious accent is Whitley Bay in this one, who has a Geordie accent, and for some reason I just found it really hard to read in a Geordie accent. Like, normally if a character has an accent you can hear it in your head in that accent, but for some reason Geordie just kept like slipping away, and I was like, I don't know why. But what I really enjoyed is he says things like pet like a Geordie person, and this guy is like a huge person, like scary, and he's saying things like that and he just seems so much gentler. There are so many characters in these books who have like their own little things about them which make them, you know, a character, and I absolutely love that. Now let's talk about the visual elements of these. It's a little bit odd that the second book doesn't quite match up in terms of the cover to the other two, and also in terms of actual like book making stuff. This one is like a shiny, soft kind of book, and these ones are like the cardboard covers, so it's a little bit odd that they're not all exactly the same. Another thing about these is they are illustrated. This one has the most illustrations in it, done by Ian Bass. Well, it says he's the cover illustrator, but there's illustrations throughout, so I'm going to assume that's him as well. So this one features loads of full page illustrations like this. And another thing I like about the look of this book is every new chapter starts with like this layout, which is quite interesting. I like it, and they've all got a different little image in the middle that relates to what's coming. This one has a different illustrator for the cover. Instead of Ian Bass illustrating the cover, he was the concept artist, and Paul Catherall illustrated it, but it is very different. The illustrations are much darker. There are way less illustrations in this one than there are in the first one. And like this one, the beginning of every chapter has like a different layout thing. It's got the Lucifer box from the cover, but this one hasn't got any illustrations, so I don't know why it kind of changes throughout. And also something I found a little bit odd was that they only added this onto the last book, which says Lucifer Box novel LB3, so like that's the third one in the novel, but surely you should put that on the other two. And something that throws me off is that this one's got the same style drawing of Lucifer as this one, even though you can't tell from the front cover, but like look, that's the same Lucifer, but it's a different illustrator. This time, this front cover illustration is by Mark Thomas. Now, something very in the line of visual about these books is there is a graphic novel of the Vesuvius Club. I do not own that. That entire novel is done by Ian Bass. I'm gonna talk about like little other things about these books that I really enjoyed. I guess the fact that it's an LGBT book, because, you know, we've got Lucifer Box, who is the bi protagonist, but he also gets with gay men. That's kind of where it ends with the male gender. There isn't any females of a different sexuality. There are also people of colour in these books. There is Aggie and Kingdom Come. Another thing I really like, which I don't know if some people would call this like a bit naff and cheesy or something, but I really enjoy cyclical things. The last book ends the same as the first book, and I really like that. I don't know why. I like in the beginning for the dedicated to bit, because in the first one it's for Ian, my love, my life. That's really sweet. I also really like the author's bit in the back. All of them just say, you know, how he's one of the League of Gentlemen and he's wrote for Doctor Who and stuff. But then there's little bits at the end. So in the Vesuvius Club it's, he lives in a laboratory in North London and takes a daily 7% solution of tea. In The Devil in Amber, it's, he is the 27th most dangerous man in Islington. And Black Butterfly, it's, he has a thick comb of hair that will never stay in place and a rather cruel mouth. They're just so Mark, I guess. I guess that's why I just like them so much. Oh dear. So, I hope you enjoyed me rambling on about a series of books I absolutely love. Let me know if you've read them, what you think of them, or if you're gonna read them. Please like and subscribe and all that stuff, and I'll see you guys later. Bye!